Welcome to Sex, Psychics, and Psychedelics. I'm your guide, Banana Jane Garnett. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and an explorer of the human experience. In this podcast, I'm here to map out the frontiers of healing, invite in new perspectives, ignite authenticity, and to celebrate inner liberation. These conversations are designed for you, designed to help you find your path. You consider new things, you follow your bliss, and you cultivate a life of greater connection. Remember, it is together we find the true medicine. Please be in touch with any suggestions or thoughts. You can find me at the Banana Jane on Instagram. Now let's dive in. Robin Parish is the co-founder and managing director of Ecstatic Dance Los Angeles, a transformational music and dance experience focused on holistic wellness, self-development, and community enrichment practices. Since 2014, Robin has played a pivotal role in facilitating hundreds of gatherings that have impacted the lives of tens of thousands of participants. Robin has worked professionally as a performer, musician, teaching artist, event producer, meditation guide, DJ, and visionary. Driven by a deep passion for the healing arts, music, and the power of human connection to foster positive change, Robin blends his talents to create experiences that inspire transformation, build community, and enrich the lives of others. Welcome, Robin.
Hi, Jane.
Welcome to Sex, Psychics, and Psychedelics.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. Ecstatic dance is such a big part of this waking up world of wellness, and people who don't know about it need to know about it. If people don't know what ecstatic dance is, could you give us a description?
Sure, absolutely. And it can be described in a few different ways. In one way, if you look back thousands of years when our ancestors were dancing around the fires and having ritual around the fires and whole communities dancing together, that could be some origins of ecstatic dance. And the version that we do is an amalgamation of conscious dance practices, somatic healing practices, all woven in onto a dance floor where you can move however you want, where there's a DJ playing and you've got awesome music taking you on a music journey. And the invitation is to move however you feel like moving in that moment, to dance with others if you feel like it, to dance with yourself, to have a reset moment, a connection moment, to really feel yourself as a human being, as a primal animal on this planet, that sometimes we can get so in our heads and the stories about our interpretations of life, but not always a direct connection with it. So ecstatic dance in some ways is a permission slip to enter into a dance floor and just really be embodied and connect and to feel music and to dance with your emotions, to dance with what is alive in your life. So in some ways it's definitely a wellness practice, because it invites connection, deeper connection with yourself, with others, with life. And in other ways, it's just a beautiful community ritual space, a modern day ritual where you can come together and dance with others who you might not know. And in that moment, we're one family, one human family, and waking up to that remember of the heartbeat, the drum that connects us all. And so even in the ups and downs of life that really is a dance in itself, there's a lot of metaphors. Ecstatic dance is a practice that we have on a weekly basis where you can come and dance and just connect with yourself and others. There's many different practices that can come into ecstatic dance, like we spoke a bit about somatic wellness, somatic healing. We have that connection, and so there are some more environments where there's a more guided, facilitated experience. For example, things like 5 rhythms or other conscious dance practices where it's more facilitated, and you have a teacher, a facilitator guiding you verbally, maybe through some different motions and the experience. But the ecstatic dance is free form, so it's just led by a DJ in the community and your own inspiration on that day. So
beautiful. So it's therapeutic in that it's free and it's embodied. And it's sober, is that correct? There's no substances allowed. Sounds a bit severe, but it's certainly not inviting people to get high.
And Yes, agreed. There are different practices. We definitely practice this one where it is sober, and there's a reason for that. There's the three main guidelines that we host when we facilitate. We've been hosting for 14 years in LA, and this version really originated in Hawaii at a retreat center called Kalani back in the early 2000s, where there was this connection between people really enjoying the conscious dance practices and getting a lot out of them. But then a lot of people were going to Burning Man too, or festivals, and they loved the music that they found in those environments. And so they wanted to...
Was this Hawaiians, or was this like people hanging out in Hawaii? Like who started this Hawaiian movement?
Well, I'm blanking on the name right now. I apologize.
No,
so it was a community that I'm still getting familiar with and getting connected with. Probably from West Coast California, I would imagine. So, but a lot of different people, so they might not be Hawaiian. So thank you for that distinction. Yeah. This connection between the music that you might find in festival settings, in club settings, but also wanting this practice, the stillness of the somatic wellness environments, or the beautiful presence that's in those places. So, what happened then was, there are three main guidelines that really hold the space, and this is what we follow, and this is what I would say is more of a traditional ecstatic dance. And yes, one of the main guidelines, first and foremost, dance however you want to do. It's your space. But one of the main guidelines being that there's no drugs or alcohol in the space, for many reasons. And I'll touch back on that in just a second. The other guideline being no talking on the dance floor. So no talking whatsoever. Just be present. Be with the experience. And then finally, no cameras or photography in the space. So that's what I would say is a traditional ecstatic dance in this day and age is sober, no drugs or alcohol, no talking on the dance floor, and no photos or video, ideally.
Is there a no touching rule, or?
There isn't a no touching rule, but there is, because we're in this non-verbal space, and because it's definitely a heightened space, and for us, we take consent really, really seriously in these spaces, because people are opening up in these spaces. People can then be vulnerable in these spaces. So, and because we don't have this verbal communication, you can't always say. I mean, you can just say to someone, "No, I don't want to dance with you." But in these spaces, it's traditional to put your hands into prayer position. If someone's trying to approach you and wanting to dance with you, and you're just in that space, you're like, no, I'm just wanting to be here just to dance, or I'm in my practice right now, or I really don't want to dance with you, or I don't feel like it. You don't have to say all that, because obviously we're not talking on the dance floor.
Right, you just put your hands together. I mean, I wish I'd been taught this, when I was a teenager. I mean, to this day, I mean, it would be different, I guess, if I was ecstatic dance, and it may be different now that I know this, but to this day, if I feel like somebody's being inappropriate on the dance floor, which just does happen, people get in your space for whatever reason.
Yeah.
How I've just been doing it for years is I look them in the eye, and this is so British, and I reach out my hand and I say, "Hello, what's your name? Nice to meet you." And it sort of breaks that whatever that creepy shit that's going on is.
Yeah.
And I've always been quite proud of that tactic. It actually works really well, although of course it does. Then I sometimes end up in really long conversations when I just want to be dancing. Then I feel like, excuse me, I would actually not only not like you to be in my space, but I would also like you to not be talking to me too much as well. But I think that boundary stuff is interesting, and I've also found it an issue when I've gone to ecstatic dance, and I love all the principles of ecstatic dance, and in my Endeavor Heart Party, in some ways we're doing the same thing. It doesn't have these guidelines at the moment, but it's very much about inclusive community and getting into your body and celebrating dance and the therapeutic aspects of it. For me, what's been hard sometimes with ecstatic dance has been exactly the boundaries and the intensity of the dance. And it's interesting I say this because I dance quite intensely myself.
Yeah.
But we feel one way about our own intensity and another way about the intensity of others, and it's just an interesting thing. I guess it's deeper than just having a laugh on the dance floor. It's confronting in different ways. And I've just sometimes found that I'm like, wow, there's a lot going on here, like people are working out a lot of stuff. And as an empath, I find that quite intense at times.
Absolutely.
I haven't always known how to manage it.
Yeah. And that can speak to one of the reasons why we take taking the drugs and alcohol quite seriously, because one, in a sense, and it's not to say that they're medicines in other environment. What we're saying is just in this space, this is what the practice is. This is what we're doing. Part of the reason, like you mentioned there about consent, because if you're bringing in plant medicines, if you're bringing alcohol, drugs, already it's a different field. Some people are just on different wavelengths.
Yeah.
And part of the idea is here, let's all be on the same wavelength. And another part of it is confronting. And it looks like, and that's why the name is so interesting, because it's ecstatic dance. And you're like, oh, well, I don't feel ecstatic. It's like, okay. Or just
really just dance, let's be honest.
It really is. Yeah. The more I look at it, and even that it's now being used in different ways, and I stand by what we do and what I foresee as a traditional ecstatic dance, but ecstatic dance now is a buzzword that people are using in all sorts of different settings. But the more I look at it, the more I see it as a permission slip for ecstatic dance, a permission slip, at least for me, to be free in that space, to be like, okay, the intention of the space is to be present, to dance my dreams, to dance my challenges, to dance what I'm feeling in the moment, to maybe just work out and exercise and get prana from physically moving and connecting. But back to that confronting piece, because sometimes we need to feel stuff, sometimes we need to confront stuff. And especially, like, I would say my ecstatic moments on the dance floor have come when I've been completely sober, because that's what I dance always sober in that setting. And I had that moment of realizing that I might be feeling intensity, and I've been judging myself, or just like in such fear or anxiety. And I literally have a waking up moment of looking around and thinking everyone's judging me. I look around, everyone's just doing their own thing. They're dancing their own thing.
Nobody gives a shit, yeah.
So my ecstatic moments have been when I've been waking up to see how much I hold myself back, how much I judge myself, how much I shame myself. And then suddenly I've had those moments of just like, it's like I have a little awakening. I'm like, I'm a human in this beautiful body. I can move and express, and the stars are dancing, the animals are dancing, the earth is dancing. And I have a moment of getting out of my mind and just pure connection. So that's why we take taking the drugs and alcohol quite seriously, because if you're having that experience and you're sober and you're around the dance floor and other people are, there's a certain electricity, and yes, it's confronting and hard. It's like a big form of group therapy in a sense, when you get 200, 300 people, working together. But then you can have those moments, especially when there's not talking and you're just so focused with everyone. And these days I find, especially with the devices that we have, and where there's this almost fragmentation and disconnection. So for those moments, for us to be fully connected in that moment is like, literally, I feel, we can call it frequency. I feel a lift. I feel like I'm waking up. I can see clearer. I can feel clearer. So that type of intensity. But on the flip side, if you're really going through it, if you're going through challenges and other people are going through their stuff, it can be really intense. So that's why it's definitely a practice.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's also about the level of contrast, for people who are used to ecstatic dance. Now I'm much more kind of versed in it, because I've been to so many different experiences. So for me to just like launch in cold, like there'll be a song playing and it doesn't matter to me, that I'm sober and I'm grumpy and I'm in my pajamas, whatever, I can do it. I can just go there and I can get into it, because I've sort of trained myself. But I think that in the beginning, it can be very awkward moving from what you're used to, the level of control you have in your default mode in your body, to being free, being out there. So I think we all have different comfort levels with it. I once had a really big fight with a great friend. This was way back in the day, like an early party in New York. We're probably like 20 years old, and I say, come on, let's get on the dance floor. And she's like, nah, I don't want to. And I was like, why not? I wanted her to come dance with me. Of course, I should have just gone on my own, but whatever. That's what I wanted. And she's like, I just think dancing's a bit silly. And I went apeshit, because I love dance, and this is why we're having the conversation now, right? But I was just like, it became this kind of thing, this argument and this idea that, sort of rolled over the years, and I kept kind of coming back to in my own mind because of my own sort of defensiveness around it, made me realize that I was very passionate about it. And also the idea of like being silly, like why is that bad? Like some people think like the idea of foolishness or silliness is bad, but for me it feels like so important and pure potential. Like for me it feels important because I can get pretty serious, and I think it's really so wise and so joyful to be silly, whatever that means, basically letting go. But it is interesting. It's interesting. It takes me to your phrase permission slip. You know, why do we need a permission slip to be in our own bodies?
Yeah.
I mean, can you answer that question? I'm not saying that you should be able to. I don't know if I can, but should we try?
I think it's some of the reasons why to dance and why to be silly and why to challenge that. I think it can be really confronting when our mind wants to have such a grip on reality, a control on life and how we perceive ourselves, because it is so vast and so massive. And we're, to what we know, one of the only planets with human life form within such an expanse. Is just almost unbelievable what a miracle it is that we even exist. And then so sometimes we can have this perspective of kind of the things that we get frustrated or challenged by in our lives. So I think it's important to assess that and to challenge that. But why indeed? I would just flip it on its head and be like, well, the more in control we are, the harder it's going to be to let loose. But I think it's the more, when I've been in control in my life and I see kind of the damage it causes, and also where I've been restricting myself, that's why I'm like, I got to challenge myself and loosen up a bit. And so I don't know how to answer the question directly.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I just was going to actually, while you were talking, sitting in chairs, like as kids, you know, you're told to sit in chairs and not to wriggle. Not to wriggle too much, you know, the wriggly kids. So we are told to stay in place in a certain kind of way, and to mind our business and to mind our boundaries. And they, you know, these tend to be rather small spaces, right? So there's one thing of like, you know, when you're on the tube in London and a busy rate in rush hour, and then there's another thing when you're, thank you God, on Venice Beach, you know, and the sun's setting, and you know, you can just like throw your arms in the air, and you know. So I think we are taught to be in smaller spaces with ourselves and each other. And so maybe that is a genuine thing around permission. Like maybe we genuinely do need to say, look, this is a space where you can be more expansive and you can try moving your body in different ways, and this is all allowed. Just take a few steps back if you think you're going to whack someone in the eye.
Oh, of course, there's that. It's mindfulness in space too. And I think when we're feeling very challenged or a lot of issues in our life, it can be more concentrate in our head or our mind, and we can really disconnect from our body. So part of the practice is continuing to get back into our body even when things are challenging, or even if we are in that tight space and we're in the tube and we're like just feeling a lot of intensity, like can we even in that moment just relax a little bit, have that little bit of awareness? Can I slow my breathing down? Where is my mindfulness? So if we're looking at it from a mindfulness aspect, this is a mindfulness practice. Like even if you're feeling stressed in the day and you just want to put a song on and dance it out and just get back into your body, part of it is like sometimes we're limiting our experience. So that's why I think it's good to like challenge that. And in society, I mean, maybe we have been taught to play small a little bit. Maybe the education system is set up for that, or because we're not always encouraged to be our biggest versions of ourselves. So in a sense, but who's giving us permission or not? It always comes back to us, the permission of how much stress we're running through our body, or love, if we're in fear or if we're in trust. It really always comes back to us. So that's why this practice of ecstatic dance always is focused in on us. It's like, wait, how are you doing? Let's move authentically. Let's not try to be all happy if you're not happy. Let's just move authentically. If you're not feeling great, and you want to slouch, do it, feel it, but do it with mindfulness, just aware of our ability to be able to change our perspective and shift where we place our attention at any one given moment.
Yeah, you said how much fear or how much love we're running through our bodies. Do you mean that as something intentional or just our default state?
I think going back to our default state of certain programs where we might have been programmed from a very young age, children in fact, that maybe we didn't grow up in a safe environment, or we didn't feel safe, so we put in certain habits to make us feel safe as we go older, but maybe they are limiting us sometimes. Maybe there is another way. Maybe there's a way of feeling a bit more comfortable in social settings. Maybe there's a way of just feeling more comfortable in general. So I think that awareness, and once we start to, that's why meditation is so powerful too, that bringing of awareness, be like, whoa, my thoughts are really going right now. So I think there's a level of reclaiming our power back into our bodies through dance, and that's what I really see it as a vehicle for me of really reclaiming my power from anything. I might have learned ways of playing small, but now's not the time, and we can always get back to that default. But so I think dance is like shaking it up, literally just shaking it up a little bit.
You're making me want to dance. You have to play
I'm
a
moving
song at the end of
myself.
this, and I'm just like, wait, why are we in these little squares? I want to keep
Right?
I've got my
Yeah.
disco ball. I'm all ready.
Oh, you are set. I love it.
I'm serious. Let's have a dance at the end of this. So I want to hear, though, if you're open to it, more about your personal journey with ecstatic dance and where it's taken you, what it's taught you about yourself, how
Sure.
it's challenged you, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my personal experience with ecstatic dance would come. It started when I went to a theatre school, a wonderful theatre school called the Guildford School of Acting in England, and I did a 3 years intensive training there, and we did a lot of movement exercises. Dance was part of the program, but also things like interpretive dance, or practicing getting better with our voice, and all sorts of things. So we did so many exercises where we're rolling on the floor, or we're going out into the touching the trees and really connecting. So all of this was under the guise of acting and what have you, but they really
What
left
an excuse.
What a wonderful
What an
excuse.
to
No
touch
wonder
trees. I'm an actor.
It's for a part, And people looking at us all
playing a
silly.
tree hugger.
That's it. I'm playing a tree hugger. Again, why do we need that permission, right? Because, otherwise people might look at us funny. But it's just shows how we've come as humans.
Yeah.
So I had all those experiences, and I met a wonderful man, a mentor of mine, Jack Lynch, who was teaching us a range of things, especially classic theatre studies and those types of things. But he also did this incredible movement workshop called Dance the Now, or Dance Like Nobody's Watching. It had a couple of different names. And the practice was that we'd do some yoga together for 15 minutes or so at the beginning of the classes, like 10, 15 people in the class here. And then you would meditate around the space, a sort of a big dance hall space, and you'd meditate for 15 minutes. And then he'd ring a singing bowl. And the intention was that everyone would have 5 minutes in the space each to just dance. There's no music happening. It's just movement. And so sometimes there's no order, it's like he'd ring the bell, and sometimes no one wants to get up, but like not having a good day, and like, oh, all right. And eventually somebody starts it. And that was, 5 minutes in the space, which was actually quite a long time. Yeah. And the idea was to dance like nobody's watching. And maybe the first couple of times you do it and you're like, oh, but people are watching, so I'll do my moves. Oh, this feels good and that feels good. And oh, yeah, didn't I do good? And then next week you might come and you're like, because we were doing this every single week, and you'd be like, I really don't want to be in front of people today. I don't even want to be here. And so like, you got to go in the space. And then his prompt was always, and how does that move? And I'm like, well, it probably won't be pretty. It probably won't look nice. He's like, exactly. And I'm like, wait, I can just move like how I'm feeling? And he's like, exactly. So we were doing this practice for a year at college, and then we studied for another year with him after college. So and it would evolve, the exercises would evolve, but this is where it sort of started for me. No music, nobody else, just me dancing and authentically, moving authentically. And it felt really cathartic and really good. So that was one experience I was having and I co-produced this event with my wonderful friend Atasie, who we also studied together in England. We lived together in England, and now we're working, and we re-met in LA. So that's part of the story. In England, we were also going to festivals. I love festivals. I love the music at festivals. I grew up in part of the rave scene, so I just love electronic dance music. And so we had these two worlds of kind of like focused movement arts and then festival world and festival music. And I was in dance classes too. I was doing jazz, ballet, tap. I wasn't very good. I think I was good if I like took time to like embody the movements and stuff, but things moved very quickly. A bit too quickly for me, so I never thought I was a good dancer, but I always wanted to move and dance. And so this kind of free-form movement, or more sort of a physical expression movement, I really excelled at. There's something part of me just wanted to express and tell my story non-verbally. So that all happened in my late teens, early 20s. And then flash forward about 5 years, Tassie and I went different directions, and then we re-met in LA 5 years later. And we were like, don't you just miss that thing that we used to do, that movement practice? And we really did, having gone from such focused presence with a group of people. And we were doing a lot of ensemble work too, so a lot of nonverbal, just like movement exercises. And I just felt so alive and so good in those settings. And we re-met, and he started telling me about ecstatic dance that he had come into contact with in Oakland, where they have one of the biggest in California. And so he just told me how healing it was, how beautiful it was for him. And as he described it, I was like, wait, so you're saying it combines those movement exercises we used to do with the music from the festival scene? Are you kidding? So we were already renting our own studio just to do the dance practice ourselves, dance like nobody's watching. And then I actually committed to saying yes to hosting Ecstatic Dance LA and starting the journey before I'd ever even done an ecstatic dance, because I just knew. I already knew. And the last piece of it was the wonderful Donna Carroll, who was one of the co-founders of the Ecstatic Dance in Oakland. She had said, hey, if you want to start one in LA, would you like to borrow our music equipment? And our old music equipment. And that was like the one piece that we were like, oh, it's going to cost money to start this. And then literally a gift from the gods and grace gave us that opportunity. So I was driving up to Oakland to do my first ever ecstatic dance at Sweets Ballroom, which is one of the biggest ecstatic dance halls in the world, and going to pick up the equipment and to then bring that back to LA and start our dance. So when I landed on that dance floor, it felt like home. It really felt like I had been something inside of me, even go back to the rave scene, the festival scene, where I love it so much. But then sometimes there would be this darkness creeping in, and even though the drugs could really help create euphoria and create connection, and I think it's way beyond synthetic, I really think it's something in humans that want to connect, want to celebrate life, want to be part of this tribe. But then I've seen the darkness. I've seen friends become addicted to substances. I've seen the dark side of substances too. So part of me in those environments was like, I just want this, but I want it to be real life, like integrated more into real life. And so that has been my journey with ecstatic dance, and then come into contact with it. And I've done a lot of personal development work, self-development work, and theatre's been such a big part of my upbringing, as well as music. And I'm fascinated in music therapy and healing arts, and it all kind of bridges all together and just bringing people together. And so I think regardless of what we call it, I just love bringing people together and reminding each other of how beautiful life is, what a miracle life is. And for me, ecstatic dance and movement practices has had a level of just waking me up to my environment, to just see how much is good. The fact that my heart is pumping, I'm breathing oxygen, whether I'm realizing it or not, I can still move. I have this energy. And even though life can be really hard, really challenging, our world is going through so much, but when my mind is dominant on that, I do feel more tension in my body, more fear. So those moments where I can dance and just have, okay, for the next 2 hours, it's just to be human and remind myself of who I am, and the epiphanies I've had from that, or especially perspective of being like, okay, my mind's telling me that life is hard and really challenging right now, but I'm just going to create more of the same, and I'm definitely creating more stress in my body. So not only is it a practice for me to come back into my body and be like, okay, wait, there's another way of this. It's not just black and white. There's a lot of nuances here, but also for me, the continual reminder to not forget how magic life is. To not forget what a miracle it is that we can even be here and dance. And so for me, dance is that expression. It's a metaphor that we can be on this planet and we can celebrate together, and we can come back to maybe our ancestors that were dancing for us to exist at this time. So I'm dancing for a more harmonious world. I'm dancing for people to feel comfortable in their bodies, and want to create an environment where we can have a connection with sacredness, but we don't need to talk about it. It can be very spiritual or not at all, and we're all there as brothers and sisters dancing together. So for me, it's a big metaphor in this time to come back to our humanness and and be dancers together. So I'll quickly wrap up on the story. So we've been doing it cool.
No need for speed.
Oh, good.
Dance with it.
Dance with it. I'm dancing with it. So that was we started Ecstatic Dance LA in 2014. So we're into our 11th year now, and we've almost hosted 500 events in LA. So 500 activations, basically. Thank you.
Good stuff. That's a lot. I've done 2 events recently. It's a lot. Yeah.
And then we had been dancing indoors for 6 years until COVID, and then COVID happened, and then obviously connecting at that time and bringing large groups of people was not appropriate and something to be mindful of. So we jumped on Zoom, and we were dancing on Zoom, and we had a couple hundred people every single Sunday, and we were like, oh wait, just because we can't be in the same room together, there's still some medicine happening here, something about a practice and a connection. So we realized in that COVID years of how important it is to keep it going. And then as soon as we could have a chance to go out and gather, we started doing events outdoors, and it shifted something. I brought these silent disco headphones, and we started it was meant to just be temporary. And then we started dancing outdoors, and we're seeing dolphins dancing in the ocean. We're seeing the sunsets. We're seeing the Malibu mountains. We're dancing with the waves, and it took on a whole nother level. So I think I'm still in the exploration of what ecstatic dance is, and I want to keep it completely relevant because I want it to be a space that can really support people to just have a space where they can feel welcomed and comfortable, that it's consensual, they don't feel intimidated dancing there. They feel like they can just drop in and be themselves no matter how they're feeling, and be uplifted by the experience.
It's beautiful. It's such a great contribution. I was just thinking as you were talking about a moment, I had a friend visit from England, and he's like, so what do you guys do out here? I took him to, Cafe Gratitude, and I was like, go to Cafe Gratitude and walk to the beach. What else do you do? Work on our dreams. I don't know. What do we do? So anyway, I was struggling a bit, and he's like, yeah, because he was thinking he might have to move here, and I just couldn't think of like how or if to sell it to him. I have my mixed feelings about LA, but I mean, I love California. But it's not necessarily for everyone or every British person. So he was like, yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I don't know either. Like maybe not, Anyway, we walked down from Cafe Gratitude down Rose Avenue to the beach, and guess what's happening? One of your parties. And he's like, oh, what's this? I'm like, oh, it's this crazy thing we do sometimes, And he's like, okay. So we put on the headsets, and then suddenly we're like dancing along the beach, and he's grinning ear to ear. And the dolphins are jumping out of the water, and all of these completely different kinds of people are just like doing their thing. And by the end of the party, he's like, yeah, it's not too bad here. This is kind of cool. I'm like, yeah, that's what we do. We do this in California. It's super fun. And it does feel like, definitely as a transplant, it feels like a celebration of the California spirit. It does feel like that is what being here is about at best, is this very sort of free and open and progressive and celebratory stance towards life, which isn't about, it's very, very, it's the opposite of judgmental. It's embracing. It's fully embracing. And I'm super grateful for that. I've traveled across the world for that. Yeah. So I'm a big fan, and I also understand that it's, it's a lot for people who aren't necessarily so body or so fruity inclined as someone like Banana Jane or Robin Parish. But I do think it's worth thinking about dance. Dance feels very timely right now for a couple of reasons, a few reasons. I think the multiple perspectives nature of dance is really interesting to think about from a sort of psychological perspective. In dancing, we move our bodies around, and therefore we move our eyes around, and so we unlock from a fixed position. And it feels like a lot of the human problems come from getting locked in a fixed position, whether that's a political position or just like, you burnt the toast. No, I didn't. Yeah. What if we looked at the toast from another angle? If we danced with the toast? So that's something I was thinking about recently, is that the dancing isn't just about, moving your body around. It's also about moving your eyes around.
Yeah.
And that you can dance with if you think you can't dance with your body, you don't want to, you can also experiment with dancing with your eyes, meaning moving your eyes in different directions, which is kind of
That's it.
Shamanic trick. Like, don't just face forwards all the time. Like, look around.
Yeah.
There are other ways to look at things.
And if I'm correct, that movement, also the physical movement in your eyes, actually stimulates different parts of the brain as well.
Now you're talking my language. This is EMDR, right? So it's bilateral stimulation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's actually in EMDR, it's tapping, but it also could be oral stimulation through like a metronome, or it can be stimmed through buzzers. But it's stimulating the two parts of the brain, which leads you to a state of coherence, which is also what's happening when you're doing one foot, the other foot, when you're walking, but also when you're dancing. And I feel like that's something that is missing from our education, is for people who say, oh, I can't dance. Well, is it, can you walk? Well, if you can walk, then just walk in response to the music, or ignore the music and do parallel play where you're walking and the music's playing, and it's that kind of play date. Fine.
That's
but what will happen is your brain will move into a more optimal state.
I think, literally dancing with your brain. I think circling back to some of those self-judgments that we have, and the permission slip, be like, wait, why that phrase, I can't dance, even, because honestly, we see dance as like, even if you just stood there and you're breathing, you're dancing, the dance of life is already dancing you. So we give people that poetic permission to just be the dancer of your life, because maybe it's that we all want to dance, or we all want to look a certain way, and like, but if we're always in that conflict with ourselves, like, actually, I think a big part of the dance too is trying to find harmony inside of ourselves. If we go our whole life and we're like, oh, I don't like the way I look, I don't like this, I don't like that, that is having a contractual experience in your body. It's going to manifest in your body, in your life, in so many ways. So part of that, challenging that. So I wonder if dancing actually in and of itself, not only the physical motion of dancing, but dancing with your emotions and your intentions, I wonder what it's doing with our brain. I wonder the different parts that it's connecting, and like it's the same that when you have, a plant medicine journey, or that the different parts of your brain that get activated. So we're looking to do that through dance in in our Sunday weekly practice of like that little aspect of that, of just reconnecting to the whole. Let's get back to the whole. Yeah,
well, it's interesting because it's being in your own felt sense and your own subjectivity authentically feels like the key. I think it is the key to connection. So I call it going from the I to the me to the we. So I being the like locked in the ego position of how do I look? Me being, now in Buddhist traditions they say me is selfish, but the way I talk about this, the me is actually like the portal. I think of the me as like just the yay. It's just like, oh, I like this song. Oh, I like ice cream. Oh, I like the sports team. Oh, I like that person. It's just like it's like here I am. That's it. and that's it. That's it. It doesn't need to be more than that. And then from that's your note. It's like, that's my note. And then you can know what my note is, and then we can maybe make some good or bad music together or whatever. We can at least have fun. But we can't, if I'm thinking, will he like my note? The other person didn't like my note, whatever it is. The anticipation of being judged, disapproved of, is so debilitating, and actually really false as well, because even if you say like, I don't like the way I look, it's false, because you don't actually know how you look. Also, because you're moving all the time. No one stands in front of other people the way that we stand in front of the mirror. Confronting. We wouldn't allow each other to do that. So we don't know how we look. So we might as well not worry too much about it. I say that as a woman in Los Angeles. So I'm just talking to myself here. But, but you know what I mean. So the self-objectification, which has obviously accelerated through social media, does affect how we move. I was filming a beautiful young dancer the other day, and she was dancing. I mean, she's young, so she grew up with those TikTok moves and grew up with kind of like pornification. So she was doing like porny TikTok kind of dance. And she looked great because she couldn't not, because she's just such a raging beauty, but and full of spirit. But she wasn't in her body,
Yeah.
in her own body. And it took some real talking to her, maybe a bit like, the exercises used to do. It's like, can you like dance like you feel? So you sort of have to work back into it, but like dance like you feel like it's really good to be dancing. Dance like you feel like it's really good to be you. Dance like you feel like nobody's watching. Close your eyes, put your arms in the air, imagine like water is throwing to you, whatever. And it shifted. She just sort of like, but it needed some guidance.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't automatic.
Yeah.
So unlearning.
That's that piece, and I think dance gives us that opportunity to unlearn and to get present. I think in my own life I've seen where sometimes the danger of my mind, or the danger of the stories my mind is projecting or interpreting on the world, and I've had to wake up a few times and be like, Robin, this is an interpretation. It's actually false. It's not real.
Yeah.
So I feel that's why I will always dance, because I'm just that little bit cautious of my mind. And since heightened social media, and since this sort of aspect of ourselves now very much connected, and even the generations now below us growing up with a social media page, I do get concerned when I see the stats for loneliness, or when I see the stats for this kind of heightened self-judgment. It's all related, and I think if we continue going down this way, we will get more and more disconnected. And in the greatest sense, we can see this disconnection on our planet of just basically being out of balance with our planet, just being out of harmony. So that's where I go back to those ancestors that were dancing thousands of years ago, who probably had a better connection with the planet than we do, have a better reverence for the land than we do. So I dance to remind myself that I'm more than my mind, I'm more than the stories I tell myself, and I dance because I want to wake up, and I want to see what that is, and it's brought more joy in my life, and it's brought those moments where I am feeling intensity, or the stories, the illusions I'm telling myself, I'm so bought into them, and sometimes I have a moment of being like, it's not real, or I'm like, wake up, and like, so that's why it's I think it's important for every day of that thing on the dance floor too. We say, I love that you were saying that about the feel. We say when you were working with that girl, we say it's not about how it looks, it's all about how it feels. It's our main thing. It's like, okay, everyone, it's not about how it looks. I know we're out here on Venice Beach, and it's about how it feels. So and so that really flips it on its head. So
right, exactly, from objectify me to subjectify me.
And then in that environment, what I felt over the time with this community that's just so incredible, and I'm just so enamored with the community that's grown worldwide with the ecstatic dance, a space where everyone welcomes each other, be like, do your silly dance, do your ugly dance, I'm rooting for you, do whatever dance feels good for you. You're not here to impress me. I want you to move authentically. I want you to be connected. So what does connection mean? I mean, that's why when you say it's somatic wellness, it's about wholeness. It's not about just one thing. It's always about wholeness. So I think dancing can help, and maybe not for everyone. And if you feel so much resistance when you dance or move, or when people say I can only dance when I drink, I mean, that's something to look at. It's just something to look at. Why? I agree. Yeah. It does seem that the popularity is increasing. I don't have stats on this, but it feels, at least in my world, like people are starting to dance everywhere. Yeah. The dancers. Yeah. Is this true? I mean, are you seeing bigger and bigger groups and more people coming to ecstatic dance? Yeah, we have done, especially around COVID too, when there was this moment of like, either ending dancing, and actually something shifted, and it really grew in a big way. It grew in a big way for us. And then other dances have been starting all over the world. It was incredible to see when I started what I thought was just a little like headphone dance on the beach, and then I'm getting messages from people all over the world, and now there's all kinds of headphone dances happening outdoors. So there was this sense during COVID of like a real coming together and really bringing people together, and like whether there's right or wrong and all these facts that we don't know about, let's continue to come back to community. Let's continue to come back together and celebrate one another. And that circle formation, we always start in a circle, and it's always we're brothers and sisters side by side. We're connected. We often do a visualization in that beginning circle of imagining you're a circle of our ancestors all around us, just supporting us, rooting us to what is that dream that's seeking to come through us. Like, let's support ourselves. Do you really feel like you're living in a universe that's against you or for you? And what does it feel like for a couple of hours to like tune into? Imagine if the universe is for me. Imagine if I really can do that thing. And so sometimes just through the matter of moving it, through shaking it, it's like you move with intention, and magic happens. But if you start to try to describe it from your mind, it's limiting, which again, the reason why we're dancing is because our mind is only picking up on such a small percentage of our life's experience. So, whether it feels good or not, it's like worth challenging it. But just, and also it's nice to feel good. So have a moment of just dancing inside. Like a lot of people say, oh, I used to do this inside and now I come out, with people and do it. So sometimes it takes people time. Some people have told me it took them 2 years of setting the intention to come into our events to then come to our event. And it can be very, very intimidating because there's lots of very embodied people. But I think there's always the validity of just everyone coming. And that's what's happened now at the beach. When we host at the beach, you've got grandma and grandpa coming, and the little kids are playing, and some of them are listening to music, some of them aren't. But like, it's that celebration
I love that
that
scene. It's really good. You've got the dogs, the kids, the olds, the youngs, all sorts.
Yeah. Everyone coming together. So I think that's part of my fascination, having come from live theatre and just loving those moments where we're witnessing, maybe it's a play or something together, and it's live, and we go through this whole experience together, and you can feel everyone's attention in one place, and so sometimes when I feel when people are fragmented, or even speaking to someone and you can see that they're thinking about other things, or they're focused on their phone and what have you, and like that fragmentation is just like, I don't know, it makes me feel a little sad, and so I'm seeking connection, and I'm seeking for us to continue to come back together. And there are some incredible stats out there that when people meditate together, or the mass meditations of how crime reduces, or how people's hearts start to beat in tune, there's like so much magic in the world. So I know there's a lot that I don't know, which is why I continue to dance, to remind myself of that, to not get lost in my mind of such limiting beliefs, honestly. Let's expand, let's dance out of them, and let's bring a bit of lubrication to them.
Absolutely. I love the bringing the word play back in, like a play, the way we used to use it in England. There'd be a performance, which was also a play, but a play has a different ring to it, as we were discussing.
A play,
it's not a performance, but we're all in a play together, so we're all creating an event. It is a piece of theatre, but it's not a performance.
No. That
very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, coming from that theatre scene and loving the theatre world, but here we are where the fourth wall comes down, and you just look around and you're like, we are the performance, and you start to realize, oh wow, we are art. Life is art.
Yes.
So hopefully those nuggets come across to people when they dance for a bit, especially with us.
Gosh, well, I hope every listener comes to Venice Beach. I know that's a tall order. That's my hope from this podcast.
Yeah, we're there every Sunday.
So you may have kind of answered this already, but just if anything else comes up around it, I always end with two questions. One is, what is the hope for your work, for the future of your work?
Mm-hmm.
And the last question is, funny one for you in this case, but if your heart had a party, what would it be like? Just like gilding the lily or whatever, but anyway.
Wow. I'll answer that second one first.
Okay.
It is. That is, for me, that is my heart having a party, ecstatic dance, seeing everyone, even in the challenges that we go through and the ups and downs of life, that in that moment we're connected and we're dancing and we're celebrating this short time that we're all on this planet together, that we're having this a slightly larger perspective, like, this is it, guys, and we can do it together. We can put our differences aside, we can come together, and like, the dancing is the metaphor, the dancing is being in harmony, the dancing is dropping that little bit deeper, maybe putting parts of our ego down, our fixed beliefs, let's just rest them down for a second and look around and see how beautiful life is just here together, and let's dance. So that is the heart, my I can't remember how you.
That's it. The heart party.
The
It's
heart
your
party.
Heart party. Yeah.
It really is an expression of that, and the desire with the work is for it to be regular and consistent ecstatic dancers around the world that hold a really high quality space that is really potent for people's self transformation. And just these spaces where we can really, really connect and be human together, because we're going through fascinating times and who knows what we're going to see in our lifetime, but to be human together and to transform together, and to, as tech becomes more involved in our lives, let's remember our humanness, let's maintain our connection to each other and the planet. And so as divisions become more heightened, let's see through the divisions and see the nuances in life, and where we can continue to connect, where we can continue to grow and expand and celebrate life together. So yes, for millions of people to be dancing, and here's the thing, we call it dance very, very lightly. It's not about being like, as we've just discussed here for this portion of time, it's not about how it looks, it's all about how it feels. So just having millions of people dancing and just enjoying life more, that's the whole point behind it.
Very well said. Thank you, Robin.
Oh, thank you, Jane.
It's been such a pleasure having you. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you so much, Jane, for having me.
I hope to see you dancing on the beach soon.
I look forward to dancing with you.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. Okay.